Disney did not buy Doug from Nickelodeon. There's something weird happened in the middle of that transaction that I just learned about, and I want you to know about it too. Doug was charming. It was just the right amount of quirky, and the wide cast of characters gave just about everyone who watched it someone to relate to. Created by Jim Jenkins and his production company Jumbo Pictures, Doug was one of the 3 original Nicktoons alongside Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy, and it ran on Nickelodeon for a beautiful 4 seasons from 1991 to 1996. But despite all of that, Nickelodeon decided not to greenlight a 5th season. And at the time, Nickelodeon had a policy that said if one of their Nicktoons ended before 65 episodes, the rights to the show would go back to the creators. And because Doug ended with only 52 episodes, everything Doug related was relinquished back to the show creator, Jim Jenkins and Jumbo Pictures. But here's the weird part, where Doug jumps from one household kids channel to another. It wasn't Jim Jenkins' idea or Disney CEO Michael Eisner's idea. The jump was an idea that was pitched by a woman named Jerry Laybourne. Jerry was Nickelodeon's former president, and in 1996, she was the head of ABC's Saturday morning lineup. And for those that don't know, Disney purchased ABC in February of '96. That means that Jerry got to witness firsthand the charm and the uniqueness that was Doug in the early 90s. And she was interested in buying the rights to Doug from Jumbo to create new Doug episodes for Disney to run on ABC's Saturday morning. You get it. In mid-96, Disney buys Jumbo Pictures. They just bought all of it. And they create new episodes of Doug that start running in the same year of 96. In this moment, we celebrate. We're excited, dude. Doug is back. And we, at least as kids, have never seen a show jump from one major network to another before. Then we got to actually experience the show. And it just, I don't know, dude, like it just felt off. The theme song was different. The characters looked and sounded different. The topics that the show discussed were not the same. You thought I was going to say different. Well, what was so different exactly? This was. Doug was aged from 11 to 12. Pork Chop's doghouse went from being an igloo to a teepee. Doug and Roger are no longer voiced by legendary voice actor Billy West, who you'll recognize as Stimpy, and eventually Ren as well after the original Ren voice actor got fired. Let me know if you want a video on how that happened. And he also is obviously Philip J. Fry from Futurama. Oh, and here's a new one for me. He's the red M&M from the M&M's commercials. Doug was now being voiced by Thomas McHugh. Okay? Mr. McHugh does have other credits on his IMDb page when I looked, but I think Disney's Doug is probably his most notable one. And Roger Klotz is now voiced by Chris Phillips, which, if you have very young kids, you might recognize him as Mr. Crunk from Pinkalicious and Peterific is called. Speaking of Roger, despite him living in a trailer park for the duration of Nick's Doug, Disney's Doug has him and his family become super wealthy, thanks to let's just call it a right time, right place real estate deal, and now they live in a mansion. That's right, the insufferable bully wins in Disney's Doug. Patty also discovers self-tanner and gets a haircut. They introduce a baby sister that did not serve the show in any way. The Beats broke up, and the Honker Burger went defunct. And here's something that I just learned as well. While some of the original voice actors did return, they mentioned that they weren't recording in the same room anymore together, which resulted in a watered-down delivery, and no organic magic ever had a chance of sparking, thanks to Disney's ways of remote recording. Sooner than later, though, the reviews came in, the official ratings came in, and the overall opinion of the show was solidified. This new version of Doug and all of his friends was certifiably underwhelming, which is saying a lot for a show like Doug. And we've seen so many shows do this since Doug, too. I mean, consider seasons 7, 8, and 9 of The Office, the final season of Game of Thrones, or the very last episode of How I Met Your Mother. It's hard to watch an amazing show turn into something unrecognizable. For Doug, the charm was gone. The changes at best made us scratch our heads, and at worst, they made the show unwatchable. Disney kept this new version of Doug afloat for 3 seasons before they called it quits in 1999. I usually ride the fence when presented arguments like Marvel or DC, WWF or WCW, Nickelodeon or Disney. And I do that because I can see incredibly strong points in favor of both sides of these debates. I mean, I'm literally the little Hispanic girl that asks, why not both? But with this particular argument, we get to see 2 powerhouses use and misuse the same IP in their own distinct ways. We get to actually compare apples to apples, objectively and empirically. And the better version really is Nickelodeon's Doug. But I mean, you probably knew that already. And that might be the reason why you and I are so alike. I got more episodes coming. Let's do this again.